And I'm thinking, no way would you play on my mind and go and start waving bye-bye.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Oh, howdy.
Episode 3.
Episode 3. Going well.
Going
strong.
So far, so good. We hope. Comments welcome.
Yes.
Unless they're negative, we don't want to know. But yeah, that will kind of decide if we want to keep going.
Yeah.
Keep trying.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. I'm well. What have I actually been doing? Bridal work, a bit of R&D, bit of research and development, bridal work. Got a job which is a bit out there. So it requires a little bit of testing some procedures, a bit of dyeing and painting.
Yes. Yeah, that was bizarre. Walking in, this is just the test.
Yeah.
And you are playing as opposed to doing anything that's going to a client yet. But walking into a dressmaker with a paintbrush in her hand was
and just freestyle, splatting stuff on.
But it looked great. Like it looked fantastic. Yeah.
After this, it might have dried a bit for me to gauge whether that's a thing. Anyway.
Yeah. It's been a good week.
That's me. That's where I'm at. What about you?
Good week. Glad the sun is properly out.
Yes, we have next week, which is the first week of April, at time of recording, is due to be really sunny.
Ooh.
Yeah, like sunny. I don't know how hot, but there's like 3 or 4 days of sun.
Amazing.
She says as the sun goes in. Bloody
We try.
hell.
If you can still see us, we are still here.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 3.
Episode 3? Yeah. So we have discussed already, so we've talked about the first big launch show that Dulcima Music did as an entity. Next episode, we discussed the very first release, the first song, which was Overboard.
Amazing.
And this week, I'm sorry, we're going to do a small role reversal.
Because, so soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm diving right in. Because I think we need to address to the viewer why you're here. Who the hell are you? Why should you be sitting there?
Yeah, does anyone else want my chair? Okay.
So, in a recent experience, I just said, tell me a bit about yourself.
Oh, gosh. How much do you want to know? Okay. So, I am here because, very short story, I've been helping you with Dulcima as a solo act.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I did work with the band. So, I don't know whether to throw this back on you or not, because we might have very different answers.
We're doing a bit of like
a little bit. That is my role.
Make it your thing.
Do you remember when we first met?
I remember I was not in a good place when we first met. Mentally, figuratively, logistically. No. Oh, no, shit. When we first met.
Oh, go on.
Do you mean the first met? Which
it depends which one you're going to. Oh, okay.
First met in recent times. So Nando's was technically the first time we met, but I think we were just in close vicinity. There were lots of people in between us that knew both of us, but we weren't ever quite introduced.
Yeah.
Or it was a quick names, and then we never actually spoke.
Wow.
But
I didn't even have that one on my list.
No, and I don't remember much more than that.
Amazing.
I don't remember the dinner itself. I just remember that you were there technically.
Yeah.
We were in the same place. That would have been 10 years ago? I don't know, actually. I have actually no idea.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it was.
Gosh. Okay, right. So I didn't actually have that on my radar at all. Okay, well, I've got 4 for want of not needing 4. So
4 first times we met.
Yeah.
I believe there can only strictly be 1 first time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to wait until see which one hit that you actually did remember.
Oh shit!
And work it that way.
I don't
you've beat me.
Well with this.
You've beat me completely. No, there are 2 you absolutely. No, that's fine. So, how I came about with respect to knowing you. So, number 1, which you absolutely won't remember. I'm not going to lie. I don't really remember. But as a band, you did a local festival back in the day, Lounge on the Farm. R.I.P.
So you were at Lounge?
I was at Lounge.
Oh.
I believe you were on stage. I'm not going to lie.
You were really drunk.
It was a great weekend. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I don't even know if I really knew you. I may or may not have known you as a band. Didn't know you in the slightest.
Yeah.
Don't remember your act. don't remember you being on stage, but you were there.
Yeah.
I was there, you were there.
Okay.
I'm sure you were fantastic.
Cool.
But yeah, I can't say any more than that. And I'm fairly, I don't know if clean cut is going to be the right word, but I think back in that era, I was very bubblegum pop.
Okay.
You were not.
Okay.
So I probably wasn't quite on my radar.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So that would have been not even an encounter, but that would be my first knowledge of your existence, if you like, as a group. So following that and how I link in with the band, so I actually know Dan, so who played bass and sax sort of throughout. I have known Dan since he was 13, 14. Knee-high to a grasshopper, yeah, bless him. So I worked with his dad.
Yeah.
And Dan in turn, because Dan also then worked there.
Yeah.
So, I've known Dan for years. So I knew of the existence of the band when Dan was sort of in and out of it to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you had your Eurovision era.
Yes.
And it became a thing at work that we were all going to sort of jump on board and support you.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember at that point, I kind of added all the band socials, sort of did all the voting and everything like that. But I'm not going to lie, you still weren't kind of on the radar musically.
No.
But we were doing this thing, we kind of knew of you. Yeah, exactly.
Local group. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, and you'll have to correct me here, I don't know whether this before or after, Battlegrounds came out.
Oh God, which way around was that?
I don't know if that was before or after.
I think Battlegrounds was after. 2016 was Eurovision. I'm sure Battlegrounds was 2017.
Quite possibly.
I think.
So at that point, I think where I'd engaged in all the socials, it came up and I was like, oh,
yeah.
Hang on a minute, this isn't who I thought they were.
Well, yeah, because that one was a music change.
Yes.
And actually maybe was that more encroaching along the music you liked to listen to. And I think Battlegrounds kind of purposefully was that.
Yeah.
We were trying to step away from folk being quite so kind of folk and carnival to be a bit more, I'm going to say mainstream in a good way though.
Yeah, like definitely.
More palatable to more people.
Yeah.
Like
and and that was it. I was hooked.
So then a song that's actually good.
That's kind of it. No, yes, it was good. Brilliant. So, so from that point, as I say, I was friends with Dan's dad.
Yeah.
And as a little group, we would come to your shows to support if Dan was sax or whatever. So we actually first met. Now I don't know whether. Yes, I came to dinner at Nando's. That was after a show in Canterbury.
Yeah.
Or depending on which one came first, and I do think you're right, which is really annoying because I thought I'd suss this all out. But we met in one of the O2 Academy shows.
Oh, really?
Me and Dan's dad arrived early with all your merch.
Oh.
And it was kind of hugs all around, and this is. But that's one I'm not expecting.
I remember that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But yeah, it may have been after the Nando's, which is incredibly annoying. But yeah. So that was the first official,
cool.
In my head. That was our first introduction.
Yeah, definitely.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
As far as the band is concerned, so I joined the band in 2020.
Yeah.
Amongst the dire year that it was.
Yeah.
For a completely different reason to begin with.
So this, I'm going to interject very quickly because although, yes, I would have met you before and it would have been, I would have seen you, clocked you, there was the name Laura. It's just the name Laura, I think. I wouldn't have known Laura first. Wouldn't have known your surname. So I remember it was COVID time and Pat, who was in the band at the time, sort of in-house, he was digitech guy because he was going through all those hours of streaming that we were doing and he was putting it all on, I think, YouTube and labeling it, being really, just dealing with it really officially to get the things on YouTube, all of that background work that he's doing. And he said, he came down, he was so chuffed, he was beaming, I've never told you this, I think, but he was like,
no, I don't think you have.
He was like, I mean, there's someone who clearly watches it. Does anyone know a Laura Fur? And, some of the lads did. Yeah, of course we know it. Dan obviously knew. And I didn't recognise the name Laura Fur at that point. I didn't know it as a full thing like that.
Good.
So then she was like, she's being amazing. She's like offering to help do some time stamping and stuff. Is that true?
Yeah, it was so sad. Yeah.
No, but I
had nothing else to do.
No, but that was great. And I mean, it was COVID. Like everyone was probably gagging for something to do. But no, so it was understandable. And it was amazing having someone step out of the woodwork, having been from the other side as well. Like you were a viewer for a bit, is that right?
Yeah.
So you kind of enjoyed it, like loads of people loved it. But for you to step out and say, hi, I'd like to help, and then actively go through and do it, well, like these are things, yes, you can get offered help and it's wonderful. To actually see it through and do the job well is another whole thing. And you ticked every box. And I think you were just like golden girl in everyone's eyes. And in mine, I didn't know you well. And
I didn't really know you at all.
And then when I saw you because that was like a virtual sort of cyber relationship that was begun. And then I don't know if I'm going to let you now take over, because the first time I just remember.
Okay.
My first impressions probably on you were not great.
Oh gosh. So yes. So what I will say in addition to that, so I got furloughed from my job.
Yeah.
So I was one of many who were sat at home doing nothing. And I'm sure at some point we will come back and do a whole thing about your streaming kind of journey.
Yeah. Let's go back to Coco TV.
You got me through.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm actually so glad.
And it'll be the same for so many people.
Yeah.
Having, like, it's one thing maybe to be watching a soap or a TV program that comes on at the same time every night and blah, blah.
Yeah.
That wasn't my life. But having this thing that brought a group of people together.
Yeah.
Who, like you say, I'd never met most of these people, if any of these people, except virtually. The same names cropped up on the chat. It was
that, wasn't it? You got to know.
And you all sat down at 8:00 and on it came. And honestly, as a group, you got me through COVID.
Oh, man.
Because it honestly meant everything. Everything. So
well, in that case, that's
even
better that you. Yeah. Well, in that case, thank you for helping make it probably continue as long as it did with help and stuff, just indirectly. It was just for Pat to be able to offload stuff meant that, he wasn't going as insane as we all did as fast. You unburdened him just that bit, which really helped.
Well, I was so glad to help. So glad to help.
Yeah.
So after this had sort of started, COVID, you were back.
Yeah.
Dan got in touch with me.
Right. Okay.
So from where we worked before, I was a food and beverage manager, which he knew.
Yeah.
And I believe the idea may have come through sort of earlier than COVID, or at least has been floating in a few brains.
Yeah.
But COVID was kind of the hit for a couple of the guys to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing I will say about all of you is you all had another side of you.
Yes.
Yours is dressmaking, which we all know. Rob's is art.
Yeah.
Dan's, some people may not know, but he was a builder by trade. Which is how I knew him.
Yeah.
And then to utilise that in COVID wasn't possible.
Yeah.
So very creatively decided through other links, because Raf, your tour manager, had sort of a link with food trailers and food events,
of course,
to build a food trailer.
Yeah.
So I got a phone call purely asking, can you come over once everything had lifted restrictions, have a cup of coffee with us and just tell us, are we on the right page? All they wanted was this is great, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And I sat in the kitchen and they kind of talked me through what the plan was. And me being me, and you've already kind of nudged on the fact that I'm a little bit of a paperwork nerd, Excel spreadsheets, my love.
What your thing.
I kind of said, and where's your food safety manual and your probe and your temperatures? And I want this and I want this, I want this. And two faces just looked at me like,
oh, we're going to have to do this properly.
What?
Do stuff by the book.
Which I think, and as everyone knows, if you're in food, you do have to, and people say things, but I just don't think it had crossed there yet.
Yeah.
So me being me,
you upped the game.
Well, I stupidly offered.
You made
I think
it
is the I was still furloughed, and it was a case of do you know what? I'll write you a food safety manual.
Was that because of your love of admin-y stuff, or was that because you liked the project? It looked exciting.
The project looked exciting. I hadn't anticipated in being part of it as long as I had.
Okay.
To me, it was something I love down with all my heart. Always have. And I knew I could offer this. Yeah. And it would mean something that they didn't have to do.
Yeah.
I had the time, plenty of it. I had the experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to be a difficult thing, and I felt like I'd contributed something. They'd kind of asked for my help, and I could help. So yeah, that's kind of how that began. Right. And I ended up based in kind of a little office in the house. Actually, I'm just going to address this as well. The band house. Yeah. Because a lot of the comments on Coco TV were from the off. You all returned back from Zermatt. Yeah. And a lot of the commentary that I don't know if you'll have seen in the group was, how are they all still together? Why are they all still blah, blah, blah. Because there were multiple people. Other people were referenced that were potentially downstairs or wherever they might have been. Yeah. The house is huge. Yeah. many, many, many moons ago, it used to be multiple flats. Yeah. All the internals are out, so it's one big building, many, many bedrooms. You were all genuinely, by the book, living in this house. God, and if anything, you were being incredibly safe, because a few of the people who didn't officially live there, but were in Zermatt with you, came back and stayed.
They had to quarantine with us.
That was the whole thing of it. Yeah. And you are very lucky that the house is massive. Yeah, it was. And it's a house and a business. Yeah. People live in the live room and, the recording room and, there's multiple kitchens. And as I say, we were in the office to one side and we've had other things filmed in the living room and stuff like that. So the house is massive. Yeah. And everyone was allowed to be there. So I end up setting up sort of camp in the office. Dan's building the trailer. And that was kind of how I spent my sort of end of summer. 2020. Then change of worlds for you. But do you know what? When you'd been furloughed, had the whole COVID experience on your own, all of a sudden you've got 10 people. It was like, it's quite good. Actually, is this how life is supposed to be? Yeah. It was bizarre. It was bizarre. Anyway. That's the weird thing with that whole living environment. It was strange in itself in the normalest of times. Yeah. Really. It was like living, I'll always say this, it was like living on the set of Friends. Yeah. Because you were just wafting in and out of each other's world. You couldn't, that's another, again, we'll do another whole thing on that. Yeah. But in COVID time, it was even more. What I will say, and I've been specific about this, the office off to the side. Yes. Is our paths never crossed throughout this. Yes. Obviously, I was working with a couple of them. Separately, completely separate. Well, and I think because you... And I'd be up. Literally, either up or down. Yes. And you guys spent so much time in the live room and in the studio. Yeah, which is 3 floors higher. I mean, at one point, you were live streaming, making like the records and stuff. You were all up there. So, it was bizarre. And funny. I'd got to a point, I'd met everybody else. Yeah. Everybody else. And you were this enigma I'd never met. Do you know what as well, though? At the time of, should we say it, Little Bear's Kitchen? Yep. At the time that was beginning, the safe space, I'm going to just be honest about this. I was digging my heels in getting in any way involved in that myself because it did not cross over with anything I did except for branding and graphics and things like that. And there was a small running history within the band, but the band is the band. Like that, yes, I signed up to get on really full on board with that. Mm-hmm. There were a few other peripheral things which I ended up kind of getting slightly more drawn into. And I just sort of was always doing it slightly kind of, okay, I'll do a bit. And then actually you spend entire weeks working for this project, which you're like, I'm not sure actually said I do quite this much, but okay. So in my head, I was trying to keep a barge pole's distance away from Little Bears, which unfortunately you were under the umbrella of. No. But I mean, it made sense. And also COVID time and everything, it was actually, With that in mind, when you did see... I think you kind of came into the kitchen at one point and I was there. I can't remember the exact thing, but whenever you would have seen me, I would have had faces. No, I'm going to go back one. Okay. So from that, there was then talk of the next COVID variant and everyone had done sort of August Eat Out to help out and all of a sudden everything was all these words, all these phrases. They're all coming back. Oh. And we were making a bit of a plan. And at the time you did have an admin for the band. But I believe she lived with family and we were having to be a little bit more careful. Yeah. I lived on my own. So I could bubble in when that became an option. Mm-hmm. And I was asked if I would take over the admin of the band. Cool. and I assumed this was normality, and I think we had call for a 9 o'clock band meeting in the office. Do you remember this?
I do remember that. Was that the first time?
That was the first time.
Oh,
and everyone was around. I'd met all of these people, and you walked in so Dulcima, it's unreal. Big hair, big outfit, pot of coffee. Guys, I'm ready. There's me taking my notes like,
okay, she likes
oh my
coffee.
God, she's here. Yeah.
What was that? Okay, so I didn't have a Face of Thunder.
No, not that time.
Okay, so I was kind of, no, I knew I did. And that was the thing. I think God, that is one of the first really eye-opening things, actually, when I realized how watching our relationship, how it changed from the beginning to how it is now is mad. Yeah. And it makes me really realize what mental state I was in back then, because I would never have really behaved. Not that I was an absolute bitch, but I was definitely shut off to people. Yeah. I was so like, nope. Clearly that day when I sauntered in with coffee, I was clearly on social mode.
No, it was, It
might have been that thing where you're sat down around a table with 10 people, you're like, okay, I have to kind of look.
Well, I think it was an element of, this is serious.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we need to make a plan. 2020 had been horrendous.
Mad.
For everyone.
Yeah.
Certainly for a band making music, you'd done the best you could through, the live streaming and stuff like that. But at this point, there were kind of clouds over, is anything going to get better?
Yeah.
You perform at festivals, you perform all these sort of things, and there's just no hope.
You can't have a crowd anyway. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So that was kind of our right, sit down, we need a plan. So I think everyone came with the right attitude, which was great. So that happened. And then I was getting more involved with the band stuff while still working on the food stuff. But the next time after that, I do believe, was a kitchen
was the
encounter.
Time. Yeah.
She does not like me. Okay, what do I do now? And I think I felt like it was, and this is terrible, and I know obviously it's not the case, but it kind of felt like, is another girl encroaching on your space because you were the only girl?
Well, I wish I could give you an answer, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure it would have been that, because like you said, we'd already had, like, for instance, Jess, or a girl called Alice Sesbury as well, who used to sound for a bit. Like, we had other girls. I think, I'm wondering because it was nothing on you. I think it was on, I didn't know you.
No.
I think it might have been a small form of, this is very childish, if it was this, a small form of protest in my way. And I wasn't going to I hate that it would have made you feel uncomfortable, but I was trying to not make someone else feel very comfortable. I was trying to make it like, no, if I were to introduce someone in this group, you would not be let down. It would not go down well. Yeah. So I was like trying to kick back against it. I'm saying that. I can't believe my brain would actually go there and do that.
No, I don't know. No,
I did some strange things back then.
You were fine. You were fine. You were just, as someone who is unbelievably unapproachable, it's so nice to see it on the other shoe. On the other foot.
That's a good point. Maybe maybe it might have been a weird resonance of both of us. Not to push it back on you.
Brilliant. No.
It could have been we were both very officious, just getting on with our stuff in front of us, and like no time for nicety.
Oh no, hold on, I'm not having that. I was so nice to you. I was.
Oh, okay.
When I get, and people that know me will, absolutely tell you that face like thunder, completely unapproachable, blah blah blah. I don't think I started the band that way. And I think that says a lot for the journey we had over 2 years. If I'm completely honest, there'll be people from my past who be like, you've always been like that. But I was really try hard.
Okay.
Because I felt like I didn't fit. Right. Because it wasn't my background and I wanted to.
Yeah.
But you can have the unapproachable for that. But it was so in passing as well. And I think another girl that was living in the house kind of did the introduction.
Yeah.
And it was like, we've met before, and then off you went upstairs, and that was kind of it, which was great. You were busy, it's fine.
Thank you for
I also think
stepping back.
And please do correct me if I'm wrong, but all of a sudden I appeared.
I think it was,
I think it might have been nice for you to maybe have a say,
maybe that get. I think there was definitely a theme of kind of that, where, okay, someone's in and they're suddenly the new best thing.
Yep.
Which, not to ever discredit whoever that new person was, whoever they were. Because loads of people that got involved with the band were fantastic. But I think it was the orchestration of all of that. It was a small form of like, I'm saying protest, it's not protest. I think I was done with everything.
Yeah.
I was just done.
Yeah.
So unfortunately you were part, you were just
absolutely.
A big cog actually in this sort of other thing where I was like, what the hell is going on now? Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
In a way,
100%.
I was kind of thinking that.
And then the next big meeting we had was one thing I will credit the band with having was your relationship together.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah.
But you loved all having a big dinner together.
Yes.
I think the house is so big, it's easy to segregate yourself off.
Yeah.
And, as I say, there were multiple kitchens. People were doing their own thing. You didn't live in each other's pockets.
No.
If you were at home.
Yeah.
And especially after having to have lived in each other's pockets for almost 2020.
Yeah.
But when you all got together to have dinner, it was amazing.
It was a good environment.
Really good environment.
Really fun. I have to admit.
Yeah.
It was always...
Yeah.
You'll always get good conversation, laughter. And
and you make a thing of it.
Yeah.
It feels like Sunday family roast.
Yeah, that's true.
So I got invited to dinner on the 29th of November.
Hey!
For someone's birthday. And
you were so sneaky about this.
No, I wasn't sneaky at all.
Oh.
It was then, I think we were literally about to sing happy birthday to you around a cake. And it was then announced, and it's Laura's birthday. And I felt horrendous.
What?
Because I felt like I'd sort of stolen your night. This was your birthday dinner.
Should have been a joint then and there.
Which is hilarious now. But yeah, I'm the day after you.
Yeah.
So 29th November, 30th November. And that was announced at the dinner table in front of everyone. Almost like, no, we're not just celebrating Dulcima. It's Laura's birthday as well. And I'm like,
no, I know. I think that's
but yeah, so I kind of encroached on your birthday dinner.
I would have felt awful if we hadn't acknowledged that there and then. And if I'd found that out weeks later, or, I'd have been like, oh my God, I feel like a right bitch. I should have, opened it out and made it, no, let's make it Laura and Dawson's birthday, which is obviously since we've kind of done.
Well, this is hilarious, isn't it? Because now it is, what are we doing for our birthday?
Yeah, it's like, which day should whose actual birthday should we sacrifice to do something?
Yeah, this actually become a thing. It shows how far we've come.
I know.
But yeah, that was me meeting you and joining the band.
I love it. Yeah.
I think certainly our closest moment followed with the video for Crash and Burn.
Yeah.
When I think we touched on this, came very much equipped.
You were just mummy of the whole video.
Yeah. I think definitely the point at which I was not dressed to go in the sea and followed you in up to my knees to hold the back of the dress, the train. And the boys are looking at me like going, what are you doing? Yes. Someone needs to do this. Come on.
But the thing is, that was such again, absolute credit to all of the group and all of the band. Because when we did, except for that specific moment where people were not cooperating. But no, in general, with videos and mad ideas, mad photo shoots and all of that, there generally was okay, cool, let's muck in and get crazy kind of attitude. There was a can-do attitude, which was always really good. There wasn't an option to have anything else.
I loved it.
You had to get involved, which was always it was good. For that video, it had been put on, right, okay, Dulcima, you're going to organise this video, Crash and Burn. We did touch on this before, but I walk into the sea. I actually provided all the sort of crazy ideas, which is fine. And often with videos, you throw a lot of ideas out, you film what you can. It's all a bit kind of cobbled together. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't stress. And what makes it into the video makes it. And there might be stuff that doesn't. I remember, again, me in videos, I had this great thought where I wanted lots of effectively dirt and sand to kind of whip off my dress that I was wearing, which of course means filming in reverse. So I wanted to walk towards the camera while I had sort of wet sand and mud kind of splattered on me. And the idea is obviously, reverse. And telling lads, and it was kind of sweet. I don't think they wanted to do it because they felt so sort of horrible.
It was awful.
Flinging stuff at this dress I'd made, and it all was like, no, we can't do that. I was like, come on, mess it up.
Throw wet sand at me.
And that was a new moment where I was like, because you were the one, right, come then.
Yeah.
And it was great. For other reasons that shot didn't quite work, but it was great seeing you again, just literally muck in. And it was just funny seeing,
It was, yeah. I probably use that as like, oh, she eviled me once in a kitchen, I'm going to go back.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, it was the 3rd of January,
prepared.
freezing cold.
So good. And we weren't used to that. We'd never had like the mummy of the group thinking, she's going to be in some 0 degrees or whatever it is. She's going to be blooming cold on the way home. And you're heating in your car right up. I'm so glad I went with you as well, even though like I didn't know, but it was a really nice moment for us to just, and it was, I
decompress a bit as well.
Decompress and feel like I could speak really openly. Yeah.
Well, at one point I had like a proper mum style towel around you in the car park, not looking at you, right, while you're taking this wet 20-foot
strange
cape off, in the middle of camping. Brilliant.
Oh my god,
brilliant.
No, that was a really really big memory.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
A good one. I do actually think that was probably quite a changing point of, actually, she's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, we're both quite, I don't know. We're quite similar in that way, aren't we? Where we kind of need, I think we are, actually, we both need to be doing something.
Yes.
And that's why this has worked probably so long. Because like, to sit around and just have chit chat with you, although yes, we can do that too. But like small talk with you is not, you don't do small talk.
No.
And I can fake it, but it's not enjoyable.
Yeah. That was terrible. But we said we'd be honest. We said we would be honest. Oh gosh. So, spent the next year and a half with the band. And
did you mind that change from food to music?
I loved it.
Yeah, because that kind of was out of your. Well, it was in your control, but like it sort of went. Oh no.
Well, I didn't know how to do that. So I'd been in a job for sort of 16, 17 years. And then I left my job finally. And it's one of those things where you think, I'm going to leave, I'm going to have to leave. I could do the job in my sleep.
Yeah.
I finally left the job on the 1st of December, 2019, for another job in London, commuting, really high salary, like everything you want on paper.
Yeah.
And I started that. I gave myself December and Christmas off because I didn't see another time in my life where I'd take a proper amount of time off.
Yeah.
Started my job on the 6th of January and obviously finished by the 16th of March.
Yeah, gone.
And and that was in food and beverage again. But that wasn't the job. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Furloughed for a long time. And when the conversations restarted, it was kind of, a lot had changed.
Yeah.
And at that point, do you want to be on a train for 3 hours a day?
Yeah.
When everything's still so up in the air.
Yeah.
So the fact I had, and at this point, actually, the band wasn't particularly an option as such.
No.
I sort of took voluntary redundancy and I'd kind of said out loud, you've got me for a couple more months and then I've got to find a job.
Yeah.
I had no expectation on the band at all.
No.
But, and I'm unbelievably grateful for it, a conversation was then had, I think with the label as well, to be like, can we take her on?
Yeah.
So yeah, unbelievably grateful because my CV would not have read to anybody else.
Yeah.
To do something out of food.
Yes, of course.
So and actually it's got me now to my next job to a certain extent because that was admin based.
Yes, so you've bridged the gap somewhere.
Very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came to a point where I needed to take the decision to leave. For, in the end, many reasons. There were a couple of hiccups along the way, and I did kind of question, what am I doing? This isn't my background.
Yeah.
This way of working isn't me. I loved it to begin with. And actually, you hit the nail on the head a minute ago when you said the new thing is the best thing for a while. And that kind of...
You saw the cycle of it.
There was a cycle. There was absolutely a cycle. Yeah. And I was like, what am I doing here? And I think it's probably easier to say that as somebody from the outside.
Yeah.
Looking in, as much as I was in, and I was in for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I also knew how the world works before then.
Yes.
For some of you, it's kind of all you've known for a long time.
Adult life was the band.
Yeah.
For me.
So you think that is your normality and that's how working life should be.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I was, no, this isn't this isn't right, and this isn't normal, and we will get to this as you go through your story as well.
Yeah.
But I left very amicably. I just said, it's not for me.
I can't keep going now.
And me being me, still offered to do everything I was doing. Yeah, no, I'll keep doing your admin. No, yeah, it's not a problem. I just need to go and get my routine back.
Yeah, you're going.
So yeah, I maintained friendships for a long time, and still helped with shows. And
you navigated it very well in that respect.
I had nothing against anyone.
To leave a group is yeah.
I felt like I left at the time through my choice because of what I believed I needed, as opposed to what anybody else may have been doing or been doing to me.
Yeah.
So I had no reason to leave under a grudge or anything like that.
True.
Looking back now, slightly different story, but hey ho. And it's been nice to still be involved in shows and festivals, and I did that throughout kind of 2020 and 2022 and 2023. Yeah. So it was really nice to be able to keep sort of my hand in. Yeah. Which then sort of formed our next conversations.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Do you remember how that came about?
I don't remember any one specific time. Do you?
Yes.
Oh, tell me.
So another thing you were quite good at was a little girly catch up.
Yeah.
So at this point, you'd moved out of the band house.
Okay.
And you had like little girly dinners and whatever. And we had a couple, I think at this point, we may have only had one. And it was almost probably a little bit weird. We were good by then, but I still wouldn't say we were like amazing. Yeah.
Oh, well, you helped me move there. Didn't you? Oh, no,
I helped you move out.
Yeah, you helped me move out. My brother helped me move there.
Yeah. Sorry. No. But you almost let me in on a little secret, if you like. Mm-hmm. And it was one of these dinners, and I think I'd stayed after everybody else to just help tidy up.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. And you'd kind of said, I'm starting to record some music.
Yeah.
And I think you just wanted someone to bounce that off of.
Yeah. And how crazy though, because I'd had an evening where I had my friends round, and even with them I wouldn't say it.
No.
Is that it? I had to wait.
Yeah.
I still, because I actually can't remember this phase of the idea of making music was absolutely taboo in band house.
Yep.
Like how dare you even consider it? So there was an absolute trained kind of thought of like, no, don't say it. So to even like voice it, and it's funny, clearly you were the best person clearly to speak to about it, but it's funny that I even had to wait for whoever else was to disappear before I could say it.
Well, I think, and I think we had kind of a bit of a conversation that kind of led to that, how you hadn't told anybody else, and you felt like you were doing something wrong. And the conversations we had were very much, and at this point I was still employed by the band. Yeah. So this was kind of early January. Mm-hmm. But I think in my head I already knew I was giving my notice in. Yeah. And there was kind of a thing that had happened over the Christmas period. Actually, it must have been before then, which doesn't help anybody because they won't know the timeline, but I'm getting it right in my head. Mm-hmm. Yes, we'd had this dinner before Christmas. Yeah. And you were talking about it, and I was still employed, and I was a bit like, okay, what's up to you? Thinking, this is a really bad idea. Yeah. But I do think I knew at that point I probably wasn't going to be around much longer. Yeah. Then there was an incident over Christmas. Mm-hmm. And you'd all gone away to Switzerland. Yeah. That was kind of back on the cards again. Yeah. Enough COVID kind of time had passed. And I think I actually put my hands up. I don't even think you were home when I handed my notice in.
I don't think it seemed to have happened very sudden for me as far as I could see. But I also kind of shielded I just didn't look up a lot in that house. I was a bit like, okay, cool, whatever's happening is happening.
And you were away, and I actually needed to do it. It was the right time for me. Yeah. And then when you came back, we had dinner. Yeah. And I was a bit like, I've got nothing to lose now. I'm on board. Mm-hmm. Let me help you. What can I do? How can we do this?
A notepad with pink pens and your pencil case. Yep. And I was like, this woman means business.
I'm ready.
And you had like matching stationery, and I was just like, she's so
absolutely.
She's such an adult. Ironically, it was all pink and purple, but it was
Of course.
obviously. But I was like, you're so.
Can't you tell I'm a
together.
pink and purple girl?
I'm a pink bubblegum pop girl. But no, you were so like, yeah, you meant business. I know it's a tiny, silly thing, but it did set the tone. I was like, also, not only do you come equipped and everything, but like you were to have anyone go from like not just going, yeah, you should do it one day, but being like, no, I'm here by your side and I'm going to help you do this. That again is not a little step. That's a huge leap to what I was expecting from anyone. So
You've not got rid of me since.
No, and I love it. And that feels so long ago now.
And I'm thinking, no way would you play on my mind and go and start waving bye-bye.